everyone. You're listening to Lazy Gal Podcast, hosted by Sejal Kanate. This is part 4 of the study series, and we'll be talking about creating routines and sticking to them. This could be a good way to set a new routine for the summer or next school year in August, maybe even setting a good routine if your school is still in session. The last 3 parts of the study series was a blog post on my top study tools, a podcast episode on how to build connections as a student, and the most recent one was how to build a night study routine, plus mine for inspo. So that one relates more to this episode compared to other ones, but this is more of a general kind of information podcast episode on how to create routines and set to them, while the blog post is more of a specific night study routine. So if you want to check any of these out, they will all be linked in the show notes. They're all up on lazygal.com. They're all up on my Instagram, my Twitter, at @the_lazygal. So in my last episode, I also had a poll on that episode being transcribed into an actual blog post, and a lot of you voted yes. So I'll release that post soon, so be on the lookout for that. And drumroll please, I'm going to pretend you did it. This post has the very first guest ever on the Lazy Gal, so stay tuned for more. As for me, school ends next week, and I'm excited but also sad at the same time, mainly because I've met a lot of great people and had lots of laughs, and at the same time I'm so done with school. So I think it's that well needed break, but I also feel like summer break for me personally is sometimes too long, mainly because I literally don't rest during summer. I'm still working for my mom. I'm still working on college apps probably this summer, working on internships, coding projects, and of course Lazy Gal project and stuff. So I feel like I'm always busy throughout the year. So for me, summer break is kind of boring work. I'm just doing work instead of hanging out with my friends or whatever. So that's what it is. I also have exciting summer plans, however, this year, and I'll talk more about that in the coming podcast episodes. But before we move on to the usual segments, this is a shout out to Mr. Lanier, also known as Mitchell. Thanks for giving us a place to stay and sometimes food during our free period. Again, shout out to Mr. Lanier, just in case you missed it the first time. Okay, so last episode I mentioned reading Happy Place by Emily Henry, and since then I've read a couple more books than the last literal one I read last time. I read The American Roommate, which I really liked. I also read The Spanish Love Deception a while back, and I really like Elena's books. They're relatively nice rom-com books compared to other poorly and cringe-worthy written ones. I still read those, that's not the point, but I can't really add those to my top books of the year, mainly because they're kind of embarrassing to say that I read. So I also finished Promises and Pomegranates, talking about cringeworthy writing, which I've been reading for a bit, and it was a meh book. But if you're on my Instagram and Twitter, this book, the one by Rick Riordan, the new one, I was excited to read, The Sun and the Star, and I did like it, but I also feel like Rick was trying too hard to write my opinion, and I was scrolling through Goodreads, and a lot of people liked the book, and a lot of people agreed that the writing style was really different. Well, not really, but it was different, and you could tell, but mainly because Mark Oshiro, the other author, was also writing it. So I don't know, maybe that's probably what it is. Compared to the other books in the Percy Jackson world, this one is kind of a letdown, especially because I'm a big fan of Solangelo. And I was really, I ordered this in September. I was counting down the days, the months, the weeks for this book. And I was oh my God. And I don't know. It was kind of a disappointment for me. And I talk more about this in my podcast episode next month on my top 5 books of the year so far. But I didn't really like how this book was just so flat, in my opinion. I expected so much more from someone who has written so many good books and has so much experience in writing good books, that this was kind of a letdown. So let me know what you think. If you read the book, you can tell me on my Instagram. I might have a poll on, or a Q&A on that but down below. I might have a Q&A on my story. I think I'll have one up by the time this is launched, this podcast episode has been released. So yeah, I was talking about, next month an episode will be released on my top books of the year. So literally next episode. So if you like book related content, follow to be notified. And if you could rate and review my podcast on Apple Podcasts, that would be amazing. And rate it on Spotify too, and follow me. Thank you for all your guys' support. As for music, that's kind of been the same, not much change. I've been listening to more 2000s music, 5 Seconds of Summer. And let me tell you, Voodoo Dolls is the original Enemies to Lovers songs. I was listening to it, it just came up in one of my playlists, and I was oh my God, this song is this is the song. So I'm right. And I also went birthday shopping last week. And I got some really cute tote bags on my story again. I got 3 new ones. So I was like, these are being bought. And they did. As for content, it's just been study posts. And I haven't had much time to watch other content, mainly because it's just finals week and like just exam month. I started God's Favorite Idiot on Netflix, and I'm on episode 6. I really like it so far. It's kind of a show, not like Gilmore Girls, kind of, but it's just the idea of the show is kind of like Gilmore Girls, where you can literally not watch a whole third, like whole half of the episode, and you would still be on the same page as someone else who did. So it's kind of like a filler show in my opinion, which I like. Like I like doing my work and watching YouTube stuff, and I don't like watching. Like I remember New Amsterdam. Like you had to watch that show. I think that's one of the reasons I don't like anime as well, because like obviously I don't speak any languages that they have in anime. So, and I could watch English dub, but like come on. I hate watching something at times and you see their mouth saying something different, but the voice is completely different, like the words coming out, and you're like, this is really bad. Like I don't like this. And for anime, like obviously if it's a different language, I would read subtitles, nothing wrong with that. Like that's literally all I do, even if I watch shows in English. But it's just like I have to always watch, and I can't do something else like work on my like blog stuff or like homework or whatever, or just like like scroll on my phone or something. Even though I'm not doing that because I don't have social media, but you get the gist. So I really like it more if it's like a filler show. And speaking of Gilmore Girls, Suki and Michelle are on God's Favorite Idiot, but Michelle's a lot older. Like he's aged. Like it's kind of scary. Like Melissa McCarthy hasn't aged. He has. Michelle has. Kind of scary. So, speaking of projects and content, I made new changes to my portfolio, and I added a contact page and an about me page. You can visit it at sejalganate.thelazygal.com. I'll link it down below. I'm thinking of adding more using React and Node.js, which I'm currently learning, to add like projects on my feed, like so you can guys see the projects I've created, because I know, especially for people who are not in the coding world, that looking at lines of code looks like literal like rubbish. Like you have no idea what's going on. I don't blame you, because half the time if I look at someone's code, I also don't know what's going on. I also have some content coming up on pieces from loopcoopshop. Check them out on Etsy and Instagram. I link both of that in the show notes. I think I should have got a package from them recently, and I will have everything I get on my Instagram, on my Twitter, on my stories, on my posts, so be sure to check them out. I love their content from what I've seen on the Etsy shop so far. I'll be giving a good review on them, an honest review. Let's get into the episode. Before we have our guest on, I'll talk a little about setting routines and sticking to them myself. I like to have set routines. For example, I always brush my teeth before I do anything, or I put my contacts in before my lotion and sunscreen. My morning routine for me is like very simple, mainly because I don't worry about breakfast or packing lunch. Like throughout my school year of this year, I have had like 4 different morning routines. I used to like wake up at 5 and exercise for a month or something. I had this time where I would eat breakfast like religiously and cook my own lunch with like egg or avocado. Like that was a good time. But now I wake up at 7, hit the snooze till 7:20, manage to get out of bed, take 20 minutes to pick out an outfit, do my makeup in 5, do my hair in 3, and get out of the house. So it is what it is. I have like 2 weeks left. I'm gonna probably stick to that. Maybe even wake up later as time goes on. My night routine was in the last blog post, especially the study one. So that's kind of where I am now. But the main goal, the main part of this all, is that creating routines require intention. You need to know what your routine is trying to accomplish and at least a basic outline on how you'll do it. Do you want to exercise in the morning? Prep for tomorrow's lunch and breakfast at night? What are your goals and plans? Like, for me, when I was creating those routines where I did do those things, I told myself, okay, I need to wake up. I'm going to go through whatever I usually go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, put my contacts in, skincare routine, whatever. And then I'm going to instantly change into workout clothes so I don't shake it out and go back to bed. I'm going to make sure that when I wake up, I am warmer than like the bed, if that makes sense. Like I sleep with a jacket on. I make sure the heater's on before I get up, so I don't convince myself to stay in bed, because it is so easy to fall into that. Oh, just 5 more minutes. Oh, it's so warm. It doesn't matter if I don't do it today. It's not gonna matter. Yes, it will, because if you don't do it today, you won't do it tomorrow, and you won't do it the day after that, and you won't do it at all, and that will matter because you never really did it. So make sure you have your priorities set. Too many things will just overwhelm you, and you'll also be too preoccupied trying to do all of them that you don't get any of them done. Because let's say, for example, that you don't know what exactly you want to accomplish with your morning routine. Like you say, oh, I'll like be like healthy in the morning. Okay, what does that mean for you? Does that mean eating a good, fulfilling breakfast? Does that mean packing a lunch ahead of time? Does that mean planning, at least maybe not making it lunch, but planning where you'll eat it, when you'll eat it, so you have a healthy routine throughout the day, setting yourself up for success? Are you planning on working out in the gym, at home, running, doing cardio workout, doing maybe elliptical, maybe you have a treadmill at home? What type are you hitting legs? Are you hitting arms? What is your plan for tomorrow? Because I can attest to, I can promise you that whatever time, if you wake up before 7 a.m. to do something like that you don't normally do, you will need discipline and a plan. And if you don't have a plan, it is so easy to convince yourself that it's not important to do because you don't know what you're doing. So make sure that you have two things. If you're going to try to create a routine, have two things. For example, two new things, not like two things. Don't just like brush your teeth and that's it. Like two new things. So let's say that you have your pretty good routine, like, you know what I'm saying, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, blah, blah. Like, that doesn't require any more effort than it needs to be right now because you're used to it. But let's say now you want to go on a morning walk before works or before school, before you leave the house, whatever, or before like even a certain time, like 9 a.m. You need to work. Do you need to wake up earlier for this, or do you know there's some parts of your morning routine that you can speed up a bit, or actually make less time for the night before? Like, let's say you're like me and you spent like 30-20 minutes picking out an outfit. Try outfits out. Try them out the night before. Don't have them in your head, because I can assure you that the words are short, not a test. I can assure you that whatever outfit you have in your mind has a very 50% chance, very likely 50% chance, that it will not look good in the morning, or you just won't like it in the morning. And then there you go, going through all your clothes again, and then boom, there goes your morning walk time. So do what you can to make your life easier, because if you don't, you're never going to do hard things on top of hard things from the beginning. Like, that's so unlikely to stick to it. And if you do a good job, like, I applaud you, but come on. No way that you're going to do something without actually having the intention of doing it, especially if it's already hard enough to do it at a normal time. Like, it's already hard enough for me to like exercise normally at 6 p.m. Who is exercising at 6 a.m. without a proper plan? That's my question. So make sure that you have your priorities set. Building habits require encouragement and celebrating after smallest success. Because if you have so many things going on in your routine, or so many things that you have that are disorganized, it'll further disappoint you, because you want to get this done and you had the notion, the motivation at some point to get it done, but you just didn't do it. And instead of continuing, you probably go down a little downward slope because you're like, no, I'll do it tomorrow. And then you go back to your old routine instead of sticking to the new one. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, encouragement. Yes, you did work out. Get yourself a packet of stickers or something. Get yourself the new pens. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a hug. Celebrate because you did something that you wanted to do and you did it, which is step number one to doing anything. So you did it. You did step number one, and I can assure you probably just gets easier from there until you're doing something like really hard, like training for like a marathon. Then I don't know, make it harder. So like I said, my routines change, but like some elements are constant. I always make sure to brush my hair before I sleep or check my emails if I'm feeling drained from work. This way I don't get attached to my phone and waste more time, and I'm like still productive. So think what's important for you to complete, because if you don't know what's important to you, 6 a.m. you is not going to know what's important either. Not even a single bit. So before we go into our guest person portion, think about what's important for you to complete. So enough of me, because today I'm with my first guest ever on the Lazy Gal, Kelly Aranda. So Kelly, tell me more about yourself.
Well, hi. I'm 18. I've lived in California for about 10 years now. Before that, I was born in Florida, and I lived there till I was about 8. I guess some hobbies I have are reading. Right now, I really like old-timey plays like Shakespeare, the old Greek classics, and then rom-com books are actually really fun for me. And I love watching movies too, but yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Before we get into the episode, I would like to say that I did get an iced matcha latte today, so it was good. Anyways, this podcast episode is on creating routines and sticking to them. Could you tell us more about your morning routine?
It's nothing really like big. I think I just kind of wake up around 4:30 to 5:30 ish, depending on the day. So I wake up, drink some water, get in the shower, do some skincare, then I get my clothes ready, I get dressed and everything. I take my dog Yogi out for a quick walk, and then I head to school.
How do you think this sets you up for today?
I think it starts very positively. I think with it being so organized, I think it sets me out for a really good start. And it just lets me have my time before kind of any tasks or like duties I need to complete.
That's good. What's one thing that you would change about your routine?
I don't think I would really change anything to my morning routine. My routine as a whole, like weekly, I might just add a bit more because I think there are some things I would love to just be able to progress in more, like sewing. I got a sewing machine for Christmas, so I think just kind of making time to learn things would be something I would like to add, but nothing like I would change really.
That's good. What's one thing that you would not change? Like something that you like needs to be in every single routine of yours that you have. Maybe like something in every morning routine in every phase of your life. Something that is constant, other than like like brushing your teeth or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Drinking water, probably. I mean, that's a very healthy.
I think that's good because a lot of people don't drink water. Sometimes, like I have a bottle near my desk, but I also like never drink water. Like I know people who drink whole glasses of water, and I feel like that's something I should work on. So is that something that you try to do? Is drink like at least some, not a glass maybe, but like at least half a glass of water?
Yeah. Like I think it really helps that I like eliminated soda in my house. Like
That's
I don't
good.
have it. Like I because I knew if it was there, I would definitely choose Dr. Pepper over water.
First thing in the morning is just a gallon of Dr. Pepper every day.
Just chugging it.
You come to school, 50% of your blood test is just Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
Instead of like the alcohol, like the ones that they test you for, it's just 70%, 70% Dr. Pepper.
It's all Dr. Pepper.
So let's say you wake up and drink water instead of Dr. Pepper like you should. Around 5 a.m. you said, is it hard to like not go back to sleep in your opinion?
No, I mean, I drive people to school, so like I know I have to be there at a certain time, or else they're like, that's
gonna
horrible.
not go to school.
That's horrible. But so not really. I think it just kind of it depends on how much sleep I got the previous night, and I always plan accordingly. Like if I went to bed at 9:30, I'll wake up at 4:30. But if I went to bed at 11:30, I'm waking up at 6. Like
yeah, of course. So what motivates you to keep going early? Other than I know you said that you drive people to school, but let's say that was eliminated. What's something that makes you wake up? Because I know did you wake up at this time before you had that responsibility?
Yeah.
So what was your main motivation, you think?
I think just the peace. Like I'm a morning person naturally. Like I can't stay up that late. But I think just in general is just having that time in the morning to myself and just not feeling so rushed because I just feel like a mess sometimes.
I get saying, like, I hated being rushed, especially because our school got moved timings. So before I had to be ready by 7:40 by now, but now it's like 8:10. So I can not only wake up later, giving me more time to sleep, but I also am less rushed because my morning routine is now like one thing, and it's just get ready. Like I don't do anything else.
Is that like it's just nice to
and
have
like at least if I don't even have to do my makeup. Like I can do my makeup at school or whatever, but as long as I have an outfit on, like that's good. So I know we talked about how waking up early is like more of a decision that you make to like because you like peace in the morning. But did you make this like a conscious decision, like, oh, I'm going to start waking up early maybe by setting my alarm 30 minutes ahead every other day, or was this more of like it just happened?
No, it definitely just happened because I think it was before the like waking up at 5 a.m. morning routines from like the YouTubers.
Aesthetic TikTok aesthetic. Look at my morning routine where I wake up 2 a.m, work out, do everything that God knows what, and sleep at 5 p.m.
Testing the benefits of 5 a.m. morning routines. Like, no, it wasn't like that. I think my mom and my dad would get up early, so I would just naturally kind of, like, when everybody in your house is up, you're just up.
And your dog.
Yeah. I knew it. I have to walk Yogi.
There you go. Why does this routine work for you?
Probably, I think, especially with, because routines are basically habits.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because I can genuinely see the benefit of when I follow it and when I don't. Because when I kind of go off this routine, it's hard to find time to do my skincare.
Mm-hmm.
I feel rushed, so I feel messy, and then I feel disorganized throughout my entire day.
That's so true.
So I think actually seeing the benefit of this is what really keeps me.
I think it's good because I know, like, if I don't do my skincare, like, I feel, like, not fresh. Like, if I didn't wash my face completely, or if I didn't make sure I look good in the morning, I'm not going to feel good the rest of the day. And I probably don't even look good the rest of the day. So I'm not only...
all oily and stuff.
Literally,
like,
everything is just awful. And just, like, if I just woke up... Even I would rather be late than feel, like, so rushed in the morning. But especially because I carpool, it's, like, harder, too. Because if I'm late, then, like, my dad has dropped me, whatever. So... Yeah. There's just so much things riding on it. And we'll get back to your terrified phobia of waking up early.
Okay, all right, listen.
So what are some top tips you have for people who are trying to create a new routine?
Don't, like... I feel like, especially with the YouTube videos, like, back to what we were saying, they just jump into it.
They're, like, up in the morning. I'm like, you're insane. Because the only reason they wake up is because they have to wake up to make content.
Exactly.
Like, who knows? They could wake up at 9 a.m. and just shut their blinds to make it look like...
No one would know.
No one would know.
So, do not jump into it. And, like, be realistic. Like, you can't just wake up at 5 a.m. if you went to bed at, like, midnight. Like, that's not...
And
plausible.
You can, but that's awful. Like, I would rather... There's no good benefit to it. And the reason for creating a routine is getting benefit from it. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, if you're not benefiting, like, there's no point. Just to sleep in, my guy. Just sleep in.
Yeah, and I think just making sure that you're doing what suits your life. Because for me, I'm a morning person, so waking up early, it makes sense for me. I do everything in the morning. But if you were a night person, then stay up at night. Like, just do what you need to do at night. Do your night skincare. Take your time. Like, have that peace to yourself and just kind of implement it in your life in a way that is actually livable.
Beneficial.
Yeah.
So is your day more impacted by your morning or night routine, you would say?
Probably my night routine. Just because I feel like, again, like, going back to, like, it depends. It, like... what my morning routine looks like depends on how my night routine was the previous night. So, like, if I maybe needed a bit more time to get ready for a trip or something like that, or if I was out late with friends, then I'm not getting up
Partying
early.
hard.
I don't party. We don't party
hard. So it helps you prep for your morning routine at night. Like, I know we talked about how you, for different scenarios that you prep, but let's say for school, for example, like filling up your water so you can drink more in the morning, or keeping your phone on Do Not Disturb, or turned off so you're not on it first thing in the morning.
Okay, we're laughing because we talked about this a little bit. I never keep my phone off because I am terrified I will miss an alarm signal. I get so freaked out that I won't wake up if my phone is on Do Not Disturb because, like, it'll glitch or something. So my phone is charged and
with the newest phone, you're scared of it glitching because you put on Do Not Disturb?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell Apple that you said that.
Listen, Apple, you can sponsor this podcast, but listen.
I hope they do.
I hope they do too, but I cannot sleep with my phone on silent. Like, I can't function. I don't function that way. Anyway. But back to the question. I think for school, like, I make sure, because we have Chromebooks at our school, so I just make sure that my laptop is charged, kind of. I should check due dates on things, but I usually don't.
Who does it, like, at night? Like, that's like an evening routine.
Yeah, like, I do that
midday routine.
In the day when I like, plan ahead, but, like, at night I'm not checking it.
So how does this routine help you be prepared for school?
I think it just sets the vibe. Like, it makes me feel more comfortable. Like, especially because I feel like, at least when I was younger, I was naturally very anxious. And, like, I would overthink little things and I would freak out. So having that kind of peace and control in the morning just sets me up for a better day. And I think that it also just... It allows me to know what I'm doing. Like, I live intentionally, or at least I'm trying to. That's what I'm starting to do. Living, like, making sure you are doing everything with intention that it benefits
Conscious
you.
decisions.
Yeah, and I think waking up early is a really big step for me.
That's good because, like, what you do in the morning relates to the rest of the day. Like, I know when I exercise, for example, earlier in the day, I make healthier decisions because I feel like I'm in that mindset where, oh, I intentionally did something to make my body feel better. The rest of the day, I'm going to follow that routine.
Yeah.
But if I don't do it, for example, like right now, I this workout in the evenings because it works better for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I didn't do that, like, I feel like I'd be like, oh, I'll work out, like, it'll be fine. But like, I'm not making healthy decisions for my body to hold it because I'm not in that mindset from the starting. So I think that's good that waking up early, like, you set that intentional decision, which is a good step.
Yeah.
So I know I asked about your tips on routines, but let's be, like, more specific. What are some tips for students trying to create a good routine?
I think in the sense of, like, students, especially high school and college students, it's a wonderful time to romanticize your life. And I know that don't go too far into it, all right? Like, be realistic.
Like, your whole life is just a YouTube video. 24/7 recording.
Just montages. But,
people who have a GoPro on their heads, they just attach, like, a GoPro on their head and start recording their whole aesthetic day.
That's through school and everything. But, I do think there is some benefit to romanticizing it because it puts joy in something that for a lot of kids don't find very joyful. And I think it also setting boundaries with yourself in school, like even if I only have I have half an essay left and it's due tomorrow and I'm not sure I'm gonna finish, I stop because I need that time to myself, and I feel like having a routine allows you to
make sure you get it done the next day anyways.
Yeah, it allows you to not have those moments where you're like, oh my god, it's 11:30, I have to submit at 11:59.
I get what you're saying.
And so it's just organizational wise, you need that. And I think for students, just applying that to your work ethic and just kind of setting that intention.
Especially for someone like you who has a big morning routine, that if you push yourself at night, you're not only going to feel unfresh in the morning, because I know the second it hits 11:30, I'm asleep. Like, I'm looking at my homework like, this is not worth it, because the words in the Google Doc are meshing together, and I am literally on shrooms at that point, because I cannot see anything. I am blurry, my contacts are already coming out of my eyes. I am rubbing them, like, this is not good. So, and making sure that you're getting work done. Speaking about that, I would like to talk about a class teacher that you might like.
Okay. Me and Sejal, we have to shout out Mr. Lanier. He's a Lazy Gal supporter.
That's for sure. Subscribe, follow on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, every single one of you
subscribe and follow. Do both.
It's the same thing.
Rated 5 stars.
It's the same thing. Subscribe and follow.
I just subscribed and followed Sejal's podcast.
Do you think you would be a worse or better student if you didn't have this routine?
Probably a worse one. Because I feel like if I wasn't, having that intention throughout the day, I'd be an anxious mess at school, and I just wouldn't like it.
Wouldn't be the vibe.
No, it's not the vibe.
And I know before that we talked about romanticizing YouTube and also talking about how so many people have like YouTube videos and like TikTok videos on creating 5 a.m. things. I think that personally that's a bit harmful at times because you're romanticizing your life so much that when you do something wrong, it feels like it's not in your life anymore. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I just agree because you are allowed, I'm not gonna come on here and be like, I wake up at 5:30 and 4:30 every day. I don't. Sometimes I hang out with friends, I get home late, and it's just not.
Especially on the weekend, because you're just there like, what am I doing?
Especially on the weekend, and even on the weekdays, I'll wake up at 6:30, and if I have to adjust my schedule to that, I will, and usually I plan ahead, or I try to, but.
Intentional decisions.
Yeah, but you also have to forgive yourself, because sometimes even though you should always wake up with an intention to live your life the best way you can, it's okay if you don't always
sometimes
do
the best way isn't what you planned before.
Yeah.
And also, before this guest interview, in the same podcast episode, I talked about priorities and setting them. What do you think are your number 1, 2, or 3 priorities when you're thinking about creating a good routine?
Again, making it realistic, making sure actually live it, because I know there are some times when, or at least in the past, where I created like really strict routines. Like I planned my whole day out to the last second. Like my Sunday resets, I had them
literally hour by hour, millisecond by millisecond.
I genuinely have it in my notes still, but it's like I couldn't handle it, because then I'm like, no, I want to take a break, but I'm like, no, my break's not scheduled till 12:30. I can't do that.
I'd still take the break, and I'd take the break while it's 12:30 too, so I'm taking 3 breaks. And then the worst part is, when you do it so meticulously, that when you don't follow, you feel so disencouraged, and then you feel so bad about it. But you did do stuff that day. Yeah. It's just you planned it so much that your brain is like, I'm not doing this anymore, bro. Like, this is a Saturday morning.
That I think just making sure you can actually live in your routine and that you can adapt it is really important.
Because a routine is something that happens over and over again.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're doing something that's... Because I feel like a lot of people make this, including me, because they have something big coming up. But if you don't start the routine beforehand, you're never gonna amp it up to that style.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're like finals week and you're studying for like 4 days and you do like this big routine that you've never ever done, it's so unrealistic. And I feel like a lot of people beat themselves over it, because a lot of YouTube videos are like, study with me, 48-hour study vlog where I don't sleep, eat, or piss for a whole forever. I don't even go to the bathroom. Like, I'm holding in my shit as I type this.
And I look great while doing it.
Yeah. Literally, I can't film myself doing it because I have the worst posture when I'm doing anything focused.
I try and it doesn't work. Like they're like it helps you, and I agree. Sometimes it does help, because sometimes you think you look so good when you set it up, but then you check it back and you're like, you have a triple chin. Like
when you do like a time lapse and you're like, I am so aesthetic, and you look and you're like, this is actually, when people see me in class looking like this.
It makes me think of doing posture checks. Because Sejal, for all the listeners, Sejal used to do posture checks, like, randomly, and she doesn't do it anymore. She needs to start doing it again.
I start doing it when you're studying. Posture check. Posture check.
You're not even with me, you're just talking
when you have a college, you have, like, a recording of me every 2 hours. Posture check.
Yes, it interrupts my music.
Okay, well, I think that's it for now. Anything else you'd like to add?
We already said subscribe and follow, but,
I don't have a premium content channel. You know what you can subscribe to? My email newsletter, which will be linked down below.
Yeah, read the blog. The Lazy Gal. Read the blog.
Yeah. .com.
www.
There's actually some other lazy gals. You can read theirs too, but read mine first.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you, Kelly, for joining us. See you later. Shout out to Mr. Lanier for giving Sejal this wonderful mic. Again, this is the 3rd shout out. I hope you enjoy this, because I'd like to thank you for the Cuban sandwich chips you gave us. They're really yummy. Anyways, back to the actual episode on creating routines. Thank you guys for listening. This was a great episode. I really liked this collaboration. Actually, my first collaboration ever, like I mentioned earlier.
Woo!
I think Kelly has a really good podcast voice.
Thank you.
She should start her own podcast.
Thank you. I feel like I'm going to play this back, hear my voice, and be like, ooh.
Every time I edit, I'm like, this is actually disgusting. But that's not the point. That's not the point. So, yeah, thank you guys for joining us again. I hope you first think that you could work on and, like, creating priorities, and also just making sure that everything that you do, like Kelly said, is realistic. Because if it's not realistic, you're not going to do it. You're going to go back to your old routine, and you're going to be like, why is it not working? Probably because you put 7 different things on there that you've never done before. So, literally, write it down, work on it. And like Kelly was talking about creating peace in the morning, if you want to work on creating peace for yourself intentionally, listen to my episode on how to have peace in your life. So, thank you guys for listening. See you later. Don't forget to subscribe and follow on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify, because I'm literally behind you right now.